What game got worse when everyone learned how to properly play it? Basically every low population dying game. I've been really into some weird multiplayer games, and as the game dies, all that remain are super sweaty veterans, so it's incredibly hard to get new players into the game or play it casually. Runescape definitely. The days when nobody was efficient were glorious. People wore gear that they thought looked cool and did what they wanted. Now everyone's obsessed with no EXP waste and maximum efficiency. Kind of the opposite, but when you learn how to play a fighting game really well but your buddies don't, so you can't really enjoy playing with them anymore due to the skill gap. Yeah, my brother played Smash Ultimate with me, but he's not too good at the game. I went easy on him at times to give him further chance to win, but I just wasn't having fun with it. Rust, my first experience with it was amazing. It was a random Steam sale before the game really took off and became what it is now. Me and my buddy bought it on a whim to see what it was about. For those who have never played Rust, it's a sandbox survival game, usually labeled Minecraft for adults. You spawn naked, with a rock, and let loose on a huge open world. We had zero idea what we were doing, and made no attempt to find out via third-party website. So it was all trial and error and epic discoveries like, hey, if you take some wood, you can make paper, and with paper you can make a building plan. So good. Naturally, now that we've figured out how to build, we need to make a friggin' mansion. For hours we stacked up wood, and started the construction of our mountaintop estate. Again, for those who've never played, there are different types of building material: thatch wood, stone, metal, and enforced metal. We only knew about thatched wood, so we built a mansion out of twigs and learned our lesson the hard way that we weren't alone in the world. Mid-construction we hear footsteps outside our house, so we fall silent and start to guard the door with our wooden spears, until boom, some champ with a shotgun blasts our door off its hinges and puts us in the dirt with it. We fell in absolute love with the game, and immediately sent the group text out to our other gaming buddies that it's a must-own and we need to play together. It's one of my all-time gaming highlights, having our new clan claiming entire sections of the map, building massive cities and feuding with other local clans. Eventually though, in the pursuit of getting better, our clan started to hit up the third-party sites and all the magic faded. Now every building we put up had the same honeycomb architecture, as it was the best way to defend against a raid. Every move we made was calculated. Every new settlement went exactly the same. The heart and soul of the experience was crushed. Feels Bidman. Dude, I was hoping someone would say Rust. I played it when it was super early in development and it seems completely different now, but it sounds like we still had a similar experience at the start. We just made super basic bases from wood, and every now and then some prick would come and shoot us with a pistol, but we'd just laugh and start a game trying to figure crap out. Magic times. Dark Souls invasions in general. Just try to actually play the game casually and enjoy dying to twink builds with broken weapons and their broken hitboxes. I'm not sure if Dark Souls 3 has this problem. I only played it for about 2 months, but Dark Souls 1 was really bad with modded mules infesting PvP. Chivalry. The combat system is broken. People learned how to exploit it over the years, and now vets are literally invincible except when fighting other vets that use the same exploits but better. The learning curve is a vertical wall now, and it takes at least a couple hundred hours to become average, let alone good. That game is great to play with friends. It's absolutely terrible to play with people have hundreds of hours. I really hate how bending over and practically throwing the mouse off the desk is a viable tactic. Fortnite for sure. I played season 2 on console and not very many folks were good at building, but now it's changed I guess, and everyone knows how to build and build fast. I started playing in the beginning and would only see some crappy ramps and other stuff. I stopped playing because I hated the random shooting direction. Recently I tried playing again. If you shoot someone they just start building some pharaonic building complex. Pokemon. Maybe it's a combination of everyone learning to play it and getting older, but once I learned about EVs, IVs, natures, etc., playing the console games casually just felt not as satisfying because I knew my Pokemon weren't perfect. On top of that, I know now you can beat the game with just one Pokemon. Back in the days, you would have 6 of your favorite mons, and your Zapdos would know Thundershock, Thunderbolt, thunder, and fly without caring about movesets or what was optimal. Man, it's kind of sad when I think about how much fun I used to have casually. I still enjoy competing, but it's not the same as playing the game for enjoyment. ETA. I think the availability of roams also killed the game for me as well. Playing the game with a turbo button to skip through the cutscenes, dragging dialogue, or if you just wanted to power level quickly definitely took away from the magic of the story. Optimizing UNATures and EVs for the in-game story is both overkill and unnecessary. Try your best not to care about that stuff going through the game. You'll be better off for it. Not exactly a game, but the Rubik's Cube was completely degraded once its fanbase discovered all of its different algorithms. It used to be a toy you fiddled with and the sense of accomplishment was incredible. Yes, to me they are still pretty difficult, but knowing there are people who can solve them in literal seconds kind of ruins the fun. Tried playing Secret Hitler with 2 ex-military Israelis. The mystery of the game goes away when they can immediately read your non-verbal tells. It's much more entertaining when you rely on people trying to use butt-backward logic to deceive each other. Whoa, that game looks great. Dungeons and Dragons. Don't get me wrong. This game is extremely fun with friends or people who don't take it too seriously, but there are way too many people who play it like a video game and only care about making their character as OP in combat as possible, which in my opinion is one of the weaker aspects of the game. However, players who want to roleplay and a good DM make the game very fun. Monopoly. Seriously, have you ever played Monopoly with just book rules? It's kinda boring. I think in later releases of the game, the rulebook encouraged different house rules though. The thing is, those boring rules ensure the game doesn't take 6 hours. Also, stop buying hotels. Hotels are a trap. You buy 4 houses on each property you can. Eventually you buy up all the houses, and nobody can buy houses, so nobody can build hotels. If you buy a hotel you put 4 houses back on the market and lose your monopoly. Gears of War. I remember playing the first game online and there were some shotgun battles and cover battles, but it was fun and felt balanced. I picked up the Gears Ultimate Edition and now everyone was bouncing off walls throwing weird shotgun shots and it just wasn't any fun. I'll add to this with Horde mode crossplay. My friends played on Xbox and I played on PC. Now I'm not the best at shooters, but with the long shot I would pretty much get over 60% of the total score with a full team. Any MOBA. I used to play Smite a lot because I was bad at it and it was fun because everyone else was bad and you would just run around spamming abilities. As soon as you get good you start playing for wins, not fun, and everyone around you is salty and really good. It's just not as fun. I'm afraid to play Smite without my friends in a party because of how bad I am. Like, I am really bad. It's still fun, but I feel responsible whenever my team loses. And there's always that one person who gets on the mic and lets everyone know that they're crap. I would automatically mute everyone, but that feels irresponsible. Roblox, I guess. It used to be freaking dope when it was all about the creativity of the levels made by kids with massive imaginations. Sure, you had to spend tons of time sifting through an array of crappy games made by 12-year-olds, but there were some golden classics in there. Now it's basically an app store containing no more than 500 games at 100 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 games. Game was genuinely fun in 08. Building and creativity was emphasized. Only microtransactions were objects to buy clothes. I miss all the old fun games based on zombies and building crap. Good days. Survivor, The Amazing Race, Big Brother, The Bachelor, and all of those shows are only fun until the artifice is revealed. They get boring the moment the contestants know too much and can anticipate the game using lingo like the merge. Pool billiards for me. It's fun to just not have any order and not call pockets just to kill time. Most people take it so seriously it becomes a drag instead. This pool hall I used to play at had tournaments, but the rules were relatively lax. People were generally cool and you were only expected to call the 8. I don't get calling every shot, but I like 9 ball the most so. Fortnite. I played it on PC before they did seasons and I really liked it. Everyone hid behind trees and bushes. I took a break from PC and started playing season 4 on my Xbox. The first shot I fired at a player and they created a 6-story freaking hotel in milliseconds. The game is filled with sweats now and it's not my cup of tea anymore. I have this mental image of this guy who shot at building this hotel then running it as a legitimate business. This pleases me. Magic the Gathering. Before the internet was huge, the average player would only know what they knew from talking to their friends and maybe playing at stores. You'd go to a Friday night Magic and play against decks that had come up with on their own. As the internet got bigger, stuff like Magic Online, Cockatrice, and just the Gatherer tool itself changed the game. With Cockatrice, you could build your dream deck and play it for free and see how things work. Card sales sites make it possible for you to get almost anything you can think you may want without having to wait for someone to trade with or hoping the store near you has it. Last year was the last time I participated in a Magic tournament. I went up against about 2 or 3 copies of the same modern deck in that tournament. I knew everything the other guy was going to do as he did it, and it wasn't fun anymore. I don't play Magic myself, but I think the game is pretty cool. But whenever I play any other card game with a Magic player, 99% they are backseating my card shuffling. How it's not good enough, and when it's his turn to shuffle they take longer than one round of the game. A game called Dead by Daylight. Don't get me wrong. It's still a great game and I still love it to death, but I definitely miss the old days when the killer was actually feared and everyone, including me, freaked out like a little girl when in the middle of a chase. You're not alone there, friend. I still however rarely get that fear whenever I've escaped line of sight of a killer and they're searching. That chance of being able to get away and that chance getting found is unexplainable. And the thrill of catching a survivor as killer. All that is what has made me come back for more ever since June of 2017. TG is fun when you play with friends because no one really plays to win. We each had a certain trick we wanted to pull off with our deck, and if we could make it happen we were happy. Winning tended to be the result of pulling off your gimmick before the other player. Then you have the guys who have been playing for over a decade. The ones who pull from 20 odd years of cards to make the most broken combos possible. I remember a game where I was stuck with nothing on the field, taking increasing damage each turn, and the only way to stop it would be an instant spell to destroy an artifact, something that isn't often used and I certainly didn't keep in my deck. I don't do anything but kitchen table Magic anymore, because the moment there's a prize in the offing, people don't want to play Magic. They want to play solitaire while I sit across the table from them to legitimize their victory. Most games hit this point, unfortunately. It seems like once that group of players who figure out every incidental little trick like frame rates or instant win cons combos or what weapons really outperform, it just becomes unfun because even trying to get good means being some sweaty veterans fodder for hours on end. Then once in a blue moon you get that one guy who uses a character or different tactic nobody else uses and embarrasses the veterans because they are unfamiliar with the character in question. Just using SF Third Strike as an example, the dude who plays keep away style with Necro, anybody using Sean, or Kuroda with his use of Q and Oro versus a room of Ken, Yun, Akuma, and Chun-Li players. Fortnite just got worse as it went on. Season 3 was the best in terms of action and not getting stuck in building wars. That and the added amount of rubbish they kept on putting in with each patch. Guided rocket launcher caused me to leave. My kids play this. They try and get me to play. Build, he's shooting but I have 3 guns. One of the great losses to the internet was the obligation to learn the right way to play a game. Either by engaging with the community, outright looking for tutorials, or watching let's plays. Then we have multiplayer, which outright punches you in the gut with the mindset of having to master all mechanics immediately so as not to fail your team. It's a real shame, because we lost a lot of the magic of self-discovery in games. It's not an individual experience anymore. There is the right way to play and the wrong way. Playing games used to be more about having fun than playing the right way. A great number of games made today are victim to this. There are certainly many complex games that require full mastery to enjoy that benefit from people learning in the huge online communities that now exist. But a great many adventure games and exploratory experiences have been ruined in many ways by the ease of access to the proper way to play them. Literally every online FPS, Back in the days of Halo 2 when we were all figuring things out it was fun, but now because I've been focusing on other types of games I can't play any online FPS because I'm so outclassed. It takes a special kind of determination that I don't have to enjoy first person shooters these days. I tell you, some folks have always been that way. I remember playing 3-on-1 GoldenEye games that ended in a victory for the one with 25 kills and no deaths cause he owned the game. No matter how many times we went over and practiced for hours, that dude always had the edge and kept it all the way through high school. Frick you, Chris. Mount and Blade Warband. Multiplayer stinks because everyone exploits the combat system and does a bunch of weird twists, jiggles, spins and jerky sword movements because that's broken. Rainbow Six Siege and Overwatch. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy both, for short bursts, but the toxicity levels, especially in the competitive scene, is crazy high. Rainbow has the problem of team killers griefers, whereas Overwatch has the problem of no communication. Seriously, last time I played comp no one communicated in a single match, as well as everyone picking DPS and crapping on the medics for not healing them. Looking at you, Genji. I had a lot of fun with my few weeks checking out Rainbow Six casually. Most people actually seemed fairly chill, but Overwatch, oh hi oh boy, I just cannot have much fun with that game anymore. Not a game necessarily, but I would add mixed martial arts. Back when Ultimate Fighting first started, something like 25 years ago, the fighters and their styles were more varied. It was almost like a video game. You'd have some small and quick taekwondo dude versus some massive grappler, or a street brawler versus a karate expert. It was very interesting. Now they have fighting down to a technical art form. They all learn, train, fight, act the same way. Mount and Blade Warband multiplayer, and most other games that use the same or similar directional attacking system. It has been out so long that the vets have learned to exploit the crap out of the attack animations, abusing the camera and such like in order to squeeze as much speed as possible out of attacks. It makes fighting a skilled player utterly freaking nonsensical to watch, as they shake and jitter like a coked up me head across the battlefield. Between that and the disgustingly shite weapon and armor balance, to the point where running around a battlefield naked with the largest weapon you can afford is a perfectly viable strategy, because armor is freaking useless and using basically anything else is suicide, means I don't play anymore. I forget why every couple of months, fire up a multiplayer match, get dick stomped by the aforementioned jitterbugs, and quietly Control-Alt-Delete my way out of the game. The learning curve is a goddamn vertical wall at this point, and I am not even going to talk about the screeching mess that is the fanbase. Sad, because the single player mode is great. I know what you mean. I love Mount and Blade and I'm sort of one of those veterans you mentioned. The difference is I usually play bot survival and the full invasion mod. I also enjoy doing dumb stuff on the tropical paradise servers. World of Warcraft PVP. First it was World PVP. People ran around in little hastily formed militias and smashed each other. It was quick and hectic. Fun. Then Battlegrounds came around. Instance PvP of equal number of teams. And it was still fun. Bombing around. Smashing each other with a little bit of strategy here and there. Fun. Then people started rolling pre-made groups for these battlegrounds to smash pickup groups. It was always a steamroll when you saw all 15 plus players on the other team from the same server. Not fun. For years there Blizzard ignored this. They finally changed it so pre-made groups had to actually fight each other. But during this time they also released arenas, small team fights, and started balancing tons of crap around PvP. They gave you gear for this. It started out as a rock paper scissors thing. Casters could kill mages, rogues hunters could kill casters, warriors could kill rogues hunters. It evolved into this clusterfuck where you had to have a whole separate set of gear to even get started in PvP. This doesn't even take into account where one healer can effectively negate several DPS players. Not fun. It became, and still is for all I know, an unfun clusterfuck. The twink economy was interesting. You could stumble across some bow items at the lower levels that were worth an insane amount and selling them to twinks could fund your leveling. It made it essential to check the price of all your items on a third-party site before selling them in the auction house. League of Legends. If you started during alpha beta, it was filled with tons of people who had no idea what a MOBA was, myself included. MMOs were the big thing back then, so coordinated team play from the start was lost concept. So naturally, many of us ran around like headless chickens, which made it a lot of fun as we learned to play not only the champions which were new, but the game itself. If there was someone who was familiar with Dota, they made to sure mention it and helped those who didn't know. It really was a community game. But once more and more people started showing up, winning became the sole goal and it got less fun. Then once esports started, it was mostly people copying professional strats rather than playing champions they had experience on. Once the Koreans got into gear, it became more of a spectator sport for many. I still play it and enjoy it occasionally, but the fun from 10 years ago versus the fun I get from it today are for different reasons. Ashmid was the first meter. I really want to say Mario Kart DS, and specifically Mario Kart DS as opposed to any other Mario Kart title. The drift and mini turbo mechanics were pretty whack, so you ended up with something known as snaking within the community. Typically, this would entail picking Yoshi or Dry Bones, and for the latter, you'd especially see them pick the kart that looked a lot like a tank. Fortunately, pretty much every Mario Kart game since has had amended mini turbo mechanics that prevent this sort of gameplay. I think Double Dash had the exact same problem. Just my experience, but Overwatch, you'd do crazy forward holds in crappy spots with weird hero picks. Then everyone figured it out and you have to hold here and you have to play this hero or else you're gonna lose. My solution to this was never play comp, ever. Risk, we never played by the rules, only by getting the new pieces every turn based on your own counties. We tried it once with mission cards and whatnot. I have to say, playing it wrong was more fun. Smash Brothers. When a group is together playing it, there is always one of those wave dashing, edge guarding, bitching if you use anything but Battlefield with no items wannabe pro gamers who ruins it for everybody with their inability to see Smash for what it is supposed to be, a fun game. I'm the friend that turns item drop rate on high and only selects those circular bumpers LMAO. Any game, really, once people know how to play a game, especially multiplayer ones, as you end up forced into the system, most of the creativity is lost from the way people play. Everyone ends up just picking from the same handful of options, rather than making up and trying something of their own. Once people learn a game, it changes from a world where you constantly try and discover new ways to live, into one where you systematically pick whatever the best one you can enjoys. Building ruined Fortnite. Maybe it's because I can't do it as good as everyone else, but it just isn't that fun trying to shoot at someone and they're just building and covering themselves up. I'm too much of a casual gamer for any online games. I used to play Pokemon a lot, and when I figured out about IVs and EVs and that there are pretty much standard MOBA sets for each Pokemon, it ruined it for me. I wasn't going to spend the time making my Pokemon perfect with breeding or however you do it. Try Ring of Elysium, more stable than PUBG but no building mechanics. Poker, specifically Texas Hold'em. The game used to be a lot more about instinct and reading people. In the 80s and 90s the game was healthy because there was a good shark, good player, to fish, bad player, ratio, i.e., lots of people played for fun, and were okay with losing money doing so. And in return this allowed some pro players to earn a nice profit if they put in the time and effort into learning the game. The poker boom in the 2000s made poker so ridiculously popular that advanced strategy, mathematical ins and outs of the game became common knowledge, and it ruined the game for everyone. Now casual players don't ever show up because they don't feel they can ever win. All the casuals are now sharks, and sharks can't win nearly enough to make playing worth it because of the lack of fish to win money from. So it's a way worse game now for everyone. Today it's just a game all about math where everyone passes the chips around. Nobody wins nearly as much in the long term. Players can't ever find an edge. If there aren't a decent amount of bad players around to win some money from poker, just isn't worth playing. Everyone is way better at No Limit now, but the general population is still very far from the skill cap and good players can still very easily make a living. Also, there will always be a variant that is coming up that is less solved than the most popular games, Egg Short Deck, Plo, etc. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.